Hey runners, welcome back. I'm your host, RR Slugger, and today we're taking a look at our first set within RoboForce. This is 2151 Robo Raider. Consisting of 135 pieces, this medium-sized mech stands as the least expensive entry point into the RoboForce series. As such, it has fewer bells and whistles compared to its larger compatriots, but it isn't as anemic as it sounds. The Robo Raider is piloted by a runner with a trans neon orange helmet and suit accents in red. The face print is a reuse of an Aquazone diver and feels quite at home here. I think the red headband really ties the figure together in a creative way. Obviously, I would prefer to see new designs, but even I have to admit that this was an inspired choice that arguably works better here than it did in its original context. RoboForce is a series that only contains 2 minifigure designs. Well, almost. The truth is, the runner in this set is exclusive only because he lacks the leg printing seen everywhere else throughout the series. If that feels cheap to you, don't worry. The pennies that the LEGO group saved here were put into a savings account, accumulating compound interest over the decades, resulting in LEGO becoming the world's most profitable toy brand, facilitating the ability to purchase Bricklink, securing the company's primary and secondary market under one corporation. The proceeds from every Robo Raider you buy off of Bricklink will help go towards the LEGO group's acquisition of eBay, or the moon, or something. Truly a win for the little guy. Setting aside our robot jockey for the moment, let's examine the mech before us. The Robo Raider stands like a sentinel, with its watchful eyes able to survey a full 360 degrees around it. Its shoulder pauldrons remind me of a samurai in armor, and they do a lot to hide the feeble appearance of the homemaker-style noodle arms on either side. Within its core is a compartment for storing robo discs, used to power up the mechs. Fans of Spyrius will definitely recognize this play feature, as it was also a staple characteristic of those sets too. In fact, in talking about RoboForce, I'm going to unavoidably bring up Spyrius from time to time. I've said it before that Spyrius walked so RoboForce could run, but in reality, both of these themes stand as the last serious iterations of this 20th century approach to mech design. By 2001's Life on Mars, ratchet hinges had taken hold, and a year later we'd see the introduction of Galador joints, changing the ballgame completely. As such, I want to compare and comment on the changes we see when we trace the lineage of Spyrius to RoboForce. This is not an effort on my part to put Spyrius down or anything. I'll share my full thoughts on that theme at a later date, but for now, I think it's interesting to see what lessons RoboForce was able to learn from its mechanically similar predecessor. For starters, RoboForce truly can run. While Spyrius was limited to anthropomorphic mechs only from the waist up, both the Robo Raider and Robo Raptor feature swivel leg design. This wasn't a new movement theory conjured up for RoboForce or anything, but I do think it's worth recognizing that this was the first iteration of the concept that used Technic parts in its execution. Who knows? Maybe my beloved granite grinder wouldn't exist at all without RoboForce. Like Spyrius, RoboForce is filled with printed elements galore. While Spyrius prints would continue to be used throughout the rest of the decade, RoboForce was not so lucky. Now, it makes sense that something with the word Robo slapped across it would be tough to reuse in a town set or something, but even some of the less conspicuous designs were deemed unusable. Case in point, this pair of printed 2x3 slopes used on the feet of the Robo Raider. Depicting rudimentary piston designs, these prints nevertheless remain set exclusive. Personally, I think there's tons of untapped potential with this piece. The Robo Raider might be the smallest of the RoboForce arsenal, but that doesn't mean it isn't formidable. Armed with a claw hand and drilling apparatus, this mech still might be capable of more than it lets on. For example, flipping the drill tool around reveals a trans neon orange stud on the end of a turbine-looking element. Maybe this is just an exhaust port for the saw, or maybe this is a scanner or laser weapon. You decide. Additionally, we sometimes see the Robo Raider depicted with its shoulder pauldrons flared outwards, away from the mech. I'd like to imagine this as some sort of defense mechanism, similar to how modern military vehicles emit smoke or flares when in danger. Either that, or it's just the result of some product photographer who didn't know what they were doing.
Surely not.
Lastly, as mentioned in the primer episode for this series, the head of the mech can be ejected and operated as a basic space plane. This could allow the runner to escape destruction in a tough fight, or simply return to Roboton when a mission is complete. All told, the Robo Raider does a good job of showing us what RoboForce brings to the table. Quaint by today's mech standards, but certainly a cut above its peers at the time. I'd say if you're already a fan of Spyrius and want to check out something a little more feature complete, then the Robo Raider should be next on your list. The back of the box presents us with a couple of alternate builds, but the eye-catching one placed front and center is the one I want to focus on today. I'm nicknaming this model the Solar Stingray, given its use of these black panels and overall silhouette. I imagine that this craft would be capable of extended flights through deep space, given its 4 small solar sails, each adjustable to pick up the most background energy. Its long claw tail is retractable, but could also likely serve as a space repair arm or resource collection mechanism in a pinch. Wait a sec. Here's the same alternate build featured in a LEGO magazine. It's great to have instructions to go with it, but I'd appreciate if the instructions weren't, obviously wrong. The magazine claims this alternate build was inspired by Kit Boyd, who actually seems to have an alternate build of his own photographed here. Well, let's try and build that. Let's call this one the RoboCraft, like the magazine suggests. To me, the RoboCraft looks to be a support vessel of some kind, perhaps geared towards maintenance or construction of the other frames. It has a wide, flat profile that makes me think lateral movement rather than speed. Should the need arise though, it has a single large thruster on the back. At first, I couldn't figure out how to stop this engine from flailing about, but then I noticed something about the turntable included in this set. If this is the solution that Kit came up with, well, my hat's off to him. With stress being applied to multiple parts, an illegal, borderline immoral building technique like this ensures that Kit has a promising career ahead of him in designing more LEGO magazine alt builds. In the end though, I still think the main build is a better use of the parts included. Unlike with Spyrius, they did print the right model on the front of the box this time. I hope you've enjoyed our look at the Robo Raider today. I considered breaking out the Slugometer for this series, but ultimately decided against it. Firstly, 4 sets spread across 3 tiers is just not enough of a sample size to make a meaningful determination. Secondly, every set in this series is fine. None of them are great, but none of them are bad either. Each one has something it does better than the other 3. In the case of the Robo Raider, this is the best humanoid-esque mech of the bunch, despite its size. Alright, look, fine. You want me to rate it? 2 slugs. They're all 2 slugs. RoboForce is a 2 slugs series. I know that's not how the Slugometer works, but they're so neck and neck that my favorite and least favorite set from the theme changes day to day. Maybe I'll be able to offer up something more concrete in the future, but for now, the Robo Raider is about as good an entry point as any in this series. Besides, you want the LEGO group to be able to afford the moon one day, right? Thanks for watching, everyone. I've been your host, RR Slugger, and remember, it's the runner, not the frame, that makes the difference.